Welcome everybody to the Mylio Photos coffee break. My name is Angela and I'm a product evangelist for Mylio. Most of you know me by this point. But my job is to help you be successful with our software. And we host these coffee breaks every week to talk about different areas of the software. And we bring in occasionally special guests to talk about other fun photographic and creative topics. So this week I've asked my coworker, JC, he's our customer success lead, to show us how to create a special Valentine's Day slideshow for your loved one. So JC, thank you so much for agreeing to do this. And I want to go ahead and turn the floor over to you so you can walk us through the process.
Awesome. Well, let me go ahead and share my screen. And we'll get Mylio running right here. This is my calendar view. And my calendar view is going to change here in a little bit. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go here to my all photos view. Right now, my photos are sorted, I believe, by rating. And if I were to just scroll through my library, of course, I can find photos of my wife and I here and there. But what I want is I want to create a perfect slideshow of photos from us from ever since we've known each other. And that's too much work to do by hand. So I'm going to use the search feature in Mylio. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Mylio to just simply look for photos of Sarah and JC. And if I just type that in the search field right here on the top left corner and hit enter, now Mylio is returning every photo that is found where Sarah and JC are part of the photo. But you'll notice that while many of them are just the two of us, there's also photos where there's other people in the photo. There's group shots and other family members, etc. So we want to narrow this down even more. Right now, Mylio is telling me there's 788 photos. That's too many anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and modify this search a little bit more and tell Mylio that I only want photos where there's only two faces on the photo, because Mylio can recognize faces and I count how many faces are in each photo just by doing the face recognition. I can limit the number of faces. And if I'm telling it, okay, show me photos of Sarah and JC where the face count equals 2, is going to eliminate any photos where other people are in the photos. And you'll notice as I scroll through now, aside from people in the background, it's really just photos of the two of us. So now we've narrowed it down from the 700, I don't remember the number, over 700 to 461. And that's a little bit better. So I could just grab all these photos and put them all in an album. You know, I could select them all and say add to album and create a new album, but that's still too many photos. And I'm sure there's some photos here that are not that great. You know, if I go down here to the bottom, there's some photos that are not Sarah and JC at all. Like if I click here, that's my daughter and I. That one is a friend of mine and I. And if you're wondering why Mylio is showing those, well, look at the file name. The file name has the word Sarah in it. So by doing the search for Sarah and JC, yeah, most of the photos is returning are those people. But Mylio is also, because I've done a very generic search, Mylio is also returning other photos there. So I want to make, I think this has the wrong Sarah in it. Yeah, different Sarah. Don't want that in my Valentine's Day slideshow, right? That could get me in trouble. So we can narrow this down even more. Of course, I could get very precise about the search string. And this is not a coffee break about searching, so I don't want to get too involved. But if I wanted to specifically say Sarah Cash, which is my wife's name, that would eliminate photos that have other people in them. And notice I put that in between quotes. But this is getting to be too much. So instead of a search, I'm going to use a filter, right? I'm going to go to the filter view and I'm going to first add a custom filter and say, I still want to find photos of Sarah and JC, where the face count equals 2 people. So just like I did a search, I can use that same search string as a custom filter. And now my all photos view has gone from the entirety of my media library to only 461 images. And what's advantageous about this is that I can go into other views now. I can go into the map view and see where these photos of the two of us are in. So I could even grab a screenshot of every photo we've been in, every place we've been in the world. And this could be the first slide of my slideshow if I so choose, right? I could grab a screenshot and say, hey, honey, look at all the places we've been in the world. Let's look at those photos together. For example, another thing that I really like is that my calendar view has completely changed. And now instead of seeing all the photos from every year, I can go from the time that we met to now, there's every photo. And if I want to go into any particular year, I'll get a view of what we were doing on every month of every year. So again, another really cool way of showing a unique calendar view of just the two of you and create a special memory. And of course, this is something that you could screen grab and print or create a PDF of and kind of put it up on the wall. So pretty cool. But the reason I chose the filter view and added that custom filter is because I want to narrow this 461 photos even more, right? So we're at 461. So let's go ahead and go to rating and say, only show me photos that are 3, 4, and 5 stars. So now we're down to 299 photos. Much better, right? Much fewer photos. So now it makes sense for me to go ahead and make that that album. But that's still a lot of photos, right? So do we want to narrow them down more? We could. I mean, I could just go and handpick photos. I bet there's duplicates within these photos. So because I already set up a filter, I could right now go to my find duplicate photos and ask Mylio to show me if there's any duplicates within this group of photos. And Mylio says, yeah, there's 16 sets. So 16 of these photos that I selected, and I'm looking at my entire library, are duplicated. Look, there's 3 of that one. There's 4 of that one. So I can bring that number down significantly just by doing a quick deduplication. And I could very easily just tell Mylio, go ahead and run auto check on this. And I would reduce the number significantly. As a matter of fact, I think I will go ahead and delete these photos because I don't need the duplicates. So I'm going to delete check. There's 26 files. I'm saving almost 1 gig of space. Not a lot of space, but I am reducing the number of photos pretty quickly. And the same filter that I was already using anyway is what I applied to this deduplication search. So I'm showing you how filters work because they are so productive across all of the views and across all of the tools that you might be using with Mylio. So I went ahead and deduplicated those photos. Mylio is going through the process of deduplication here. Once that is done, the number of total photos in this view is going to decrease. It's down to 279. It's still going through some of the deletion. But now I can go ahead and create that album. And I just select them all. If you don't know how to select all, I did it with the keyboard by hitting Command A. But you can also right mouse click anywhere in the photo selections and click all. And all of the photos would be selected. Excuse me. And then I can go ahead and say, let's add this to an album. So I'm going to go ahead and say add to album. I'm going to create a new album. We'll call it V-Day 2023. Create. Continue. And now if I go to my album view, there's going to be, and of course, turn off my filter. We're going to have the Valentine's Day album in, it should be at the top. How are we sorted? Let's sort by date created. Okay. Let's sort by name because it starts with a V. That'll help us find it more easily. So we'll scroll all the way down to the bottom here. And there's Valentine's Day 2023. And here's all the photos. Now, how do I want this album to show up? I think it makes sense to show it in chronological order. So I'm going to have my album sorted instead of manual by date created. And you'll notice that the first photos at the top are photos that are undated. Looks like this photo right here doesn't have a date on it. It's not from early on in the relationship, it's later on. And it's not a great photo anyway, so I'm just going to take that one out. If I hit delete in an album, it's just removing that photo from the album. It's not deleting the photo from my library. So now that I'm in an album, I'm working within a virtual collection, right? I'm not changing my library in any way. I'm just reducing the number of photos in this particular album. So I'm going to go through here and holding down the command key, I'm going to select some photos that seem a bit redundant. We have a lot of the same photos here. That one's kind of goofy. And I'm just going to bring it down to just fewer photos, just taking out the ones that I don't really like. So we can bring the total. That one has a finger in it. I don't know why it's rated at 3. It should be rated at 0. But by doing this, I'm reducing the total number of photos. And because I am in this album view, all I have to do is hit delete at any one time. And I'm reducing immediately the number of photos right away without having to worry whether these photos are being removed from my library or not. They're not. They're simply being removed from the album. And also by doing this, I'm finding some photos that might need a little touch up, a little editing before we put them in the final slideshow. So I might want to do that as well. That one's too dark. What else do we have here? And there's, again, a bunch that are very similar. We'll leave the 80s one there. Oops. Scroll back down. Sorry, I clicked on the top.
It happens.
It does. Yeah, see, those are all the same. It's funny how many photos with masks we now have.
Yep, I think we all have them.
We do.
I was just doing the same search on my library and yep, we've got them too.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Yep. Some great photos though.
Thank you.
You guys are adorable.
We are. You're absolutely correct.
And so modest.
I'm very, very proud of the relationship I built with this amazing woman. I consider myself very, very lucky.
That's so cool.
All right, here we are back where we were. Let's remove some more of those. Okay. So now if I select all, and I look at my info panel, I'm down to 181 photos. That may seem like a lot, but if you're playing these photos with music over a long time, it's not going to be that much because they're only on the screen for a few seconds. So I'm going to go with that number. Obviously, you can call it down more. There's a lot of the wedding here, so we could call those down a little more. I think there was a photo that had some red eye on it. If I find it again, I'll fix it. But these are all things that you can do immediately within Mylio. And once you have that collection completed, you know, we've only been at this for what, less than 10 minutes?
Oh, yeah.
So now I can just do a slideshow in one of two ways. Because this album is going to show up on every device in my Mylio library immediately, I don't have to do anything other than turn my camera back on. I don't have to do anything other than just play this slideshow. We could be sitting on the couch and I say, hey, honey, I made a slideshow for you. And I could stream from my phone to the TV using the mirroring options of your phone directly to the TV by just going to Mylio, clicking on view and saying play slideshow. And Mylio gives me some options. How long do I want each photo to be on screen? Right? If I play every photo on screen for 5 seconds, it tells me that it's going to take 16 minutes to play all these. That's a long time. So maybe we only want the photos on the screen for 2 seconds. And that's more like 7 minutes now. I can add titles and captions if each photo had it. I can have the order be shuffled. I can have a transition like a crossfade or a push where one photo pushes the other one. So if I play this right now, also you can have the album remember the settings for the slideshow for next time. But if I hit play right now, Mylio is just going to push one photo after the next, after the next, after the next. And notice it started with the photo that we were parked on. So we want to be at the top when we start our slideshow. But I think we can do a little better, right? So one feature that Mylio has besides the built-in slideshow is that you can take an entire collection of photos. Okay, hold on. I found a red eye and it's bugging me. So let's fix it really quick. Notice there's a little bit of red eye there in Sarah's eyes from the flash. So I'm just quickly gonna go through and remove that red eye. And just like that, we corrected the image. And for those of you following along, all I did was I zoom on the image. I did it with my mouse because I have a button program to do that, but you can zoom in with this slider down here. So I zoomed in on that area of the photo. I went to my edit tab. I selected the color or the red eye reduction feature. Mylio gives me a different user interface here at the bottom where I can change the radius of the circles so that I can cover the entire eye, and the sensitivity, how much red is removed. The default setting of 0 is usually pretty good, but that's all I did. And then when you click done, the red eye is gone. So sometimes I tend to do things really fast. I apologize. Tell me if I'm going too fast because I get excited. All right.
I think that was great.
But what I was telling you is that there's another way of exporting this as a slideshow besides the view play slideshow for an album. And keep in mind that slideshow you can do with anything. I could have just used the search results that I had before and played those as a slideshow. Or I could use any particular view and play it as a slideshow. Whatever's on the screen at the time can be played as a slideshow. But what I want is I want to play this slideshow with the song that we used during our wedding. And in that case, I'm going to ask Mylio to export these photos as a video. Now, most of the photos are really good resolution, so I know I can select them all and click the export button right here, the share button, and export as video. And then Mylio gives me a number of options. The first one is resolution. 640 by 480 is pretty low res, so I'm going to increase that to the maximum. And that is giving me an HD resolution. That's going to look great on any TV that you play this on. The sorting, I want it to be by date in ascending order. So the oldest photo playing first. Overlays, I don't want any overlays, but I could have the dates or the title or any caption that I wrote on this photo. So for example, if I wanted to take the time to go through this album, I'm going to cancel this for a second and add caption to every photo, like, you know, our first photo. Those captions could show up on every single photo. So that's another option that you can have. And when you go to export that video, you could include an overlay of all those captions. So if there's a photo that's funny for some reason, you remember this, ha ha ha, all those captions could be playing on the screen as part of this video export that we're going to do. But most importantly, I can add music to these. So when I go to music file and I click on none, it gives me the option to choose a file. Now, earlier today, I went and downloaded and purchased the song that, well, I purchased 5 versions of the song because I love the song. But I'm going to use the piano version of If I Ain't Got You from Alicia Keys. That's what we walk down the aisle to when we get married. So it's got a lot of sentimental value to us. So I'm going to select that file. Notice that Mylio by default turned on the use music duration as the duration for the slideshow. And what is done is adjusted how long each photo is going to be on screen so that the 4 minutes that the song lasts, the 3 minutes and 51 seconds, is how long, that determines how long each photo is going to be on. And then we're going to do a crossfade between the photos. So if I go ahead and click export right now, Mylio will say, where do you want to put this? Well, let's go ahead and put it on the desktop. We'll call it V-Day Slides. Let's put the year. Click save. Mylio is exporting the video. And if I go to the Finder and I open up my desktop here, there is the file being created. And as soon as it's done, we'll be able to play that file and it'll play with the music and everything else. And by the way, you can close that window and continue using Mylio for other stuff while that export is happening. So now I can go over here. And as soon as that slideshow is ready, that will be a file that can be opened. I can't open it yet because it's still being written. But then I'll be able to play it. Usually it doesn't take this long. So hopefully I didn't do something wrong. We're getting an error here. Oh, no, just telling me that it deleted the duplicates. That's great. If we click on our activity window, it is still exporting the video. Might have something to do with the song file that I chose. Hopefully it's not some music files are locked. So
that's something to be aware of. And then the other thing is if you're exporting a video that has copyrighted music, which most of the music we download from iTunes or any of these places, they're copyrighted. So they're fine to share with our family members and to play on our home TVs and such. But be careful uploading them to services like YouTube because that can get you dinged on those services. But we have to be careful. Actually, if you play that video on the coffee break, you can't upload it to YouTube.
I thought about that.
Copyright is very important to respect.
So that video doesn't seem to be exporting correctly. So let's try that again. Oh, no, it's still going. The file size is growing. So
it has a thumbnail now.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there it goes. All right. Let me turn the sound down.
Thank you, JC.
But there it is. And it's just going to, no, I don't think this video is done. It's staying on the first photo.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what I did? See if you can guess what I did. I had the
Somehow it
photos
got
selected
unselected. Yep.
instead of selecting them all. So let's try that one more time. That was definitely user error there. No wonder it took so long. Okay, that looks better. So let's leave the music off of it so that we can play this correctly. And we'll just make this each photo just display for about 1.5 seconds. And that will create a much faster export. Take two. Actually, I'm going to change one more thing. I'm going to change the resolution to 720 so that it's even faster to export. All right. There we go. That video is being exported. Now Mali is telling me how long it's going to take, about a minute, and it's going through the number of photos that it's exporting. So that makes a lot more sense now.
Yep.
It's those simple things that you have to look for because the computer is only as smart as the person in front of it. And in this case, I was indeed selecting one photo and telling it to export just that one photo. So either select the album itself or select all the photos within the album. Either way will work, especially since when you're exporting a video, you can tell it how to sort those photos. You can just select the entire album from the album view without having to step in and select all the photos. Like I said, either way, it will work. So just a few more seconds. Let's go to the Finder here and find take two.
Almost there.
I know, I'm not very patient. There we go. Now, if we play this video, it is going in chronological order through all of our photos. And I'm seeing a few more red eyes that I want to go back and fix.
This is so cool.
But that took like no time at all. And it's using that organization that you've already created on your library and the features that are built into Mylio to make this kind of work super easy. Great way to celebrate special occasions or just to celebrate like important things. I did a similar slideshow recently for my daughter's wedding. And I didn't have a lot of time to work ahead. So I actually did it on the plane on my way to the wedding. So
Nice.
I just had my laptop. I created a slideshow with the previews that I had in there. And then once I got to the hotel, I created a version with the originals because Mylio could download the originals from my home computer or from a cloud device. And I had it ready for the wedding, put it in a thumb drive, and they played it. And it was great. So there you go. Now let's take some questions.
Well, that was fantastic. Does anybody have any questions? Right now I have everybody on mute, but if you want to unmute and ask, this is a great time. I know that I did get a couple of private messages from one user. You mentioned some keyboard shortcuts where you did Command A and so forth. So if you're on a Windows machine, that's going to be Control. So if you want to select all, Control A versus Command A on Mac.
And it's also you can also do it with your mouse by right mouse clicking. If you're on a mobile device, you can use the Actions menu, which is on the bottom right corner of the screen. And there you can also find Select All.
Awesome. And
Can you show one more time how to do the red eye?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, there were a few photos here that had some red eye that I wanted to fix anyway. So let's go find those. Of course, now I'm not going to find them.
They're easier to see when they're in the slideshow because you're just looking at one at a time.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
You were towards the top though, I think.
well, one thing we can do is we can go like this, and there's one.
There you go.
So you see the red eye. I'm
Yeah.
going to open my details panel. I'm going to click on the edit tab and select red eye. I'm going to zoom in on the area of the photo where I can see the red. And in this case, I'm going to change the radius. Because I zoomed in so much, I'm going to change the radius down a little bit so that circle is a bit smaller. And it's the inner circle that is going to determine the total radius of correction. And you can adjust the sensitivity. See, if I go like that, she's going to look like she doesn't have any color in her eyes. If I go too low, then some of the red will remain. So the default setting is actually very, very good in most situations. But then you just click done. And when I zoom that photo back out, it looks correct.
Okay. Thank you.
You're very
Wait.
welcome.
I did go ahead and put a link to the manual for the red eye correction chapter as well. So in case you want to pull that up and walk through it later, you can always do that. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Go for it.
Yeah, JC, there's no way, or is there a way? I'll put it the other way. Is there a way to add this album you've just created into the life calendar?
The album itself?
Yeah.
Well, yes, you could create a video of it, import the video back into Mylio, and then it'll appear on Valentine's Day 2023. So that's how I would do it.
Okay.
If you wanted
All right.
that event to be part of a specific date, yeah, I would create, because I created it today, that would be the date that it would have. So it would
That would
show
work.
up in the live calendar under that day.
All right. The reason that I ask that is one of the features I like most about albums is that you can, create your own custom sort order. Here, the
Right.
way that you have this in chronological is appropriate for the, what you're trying to do with the album.
Yeah.
But occasionally, I will have a bunch of photos that I've taken maybe over a couple of days or weeks or something, and I can't put them into chronological. And, short of going in and manually adjusting all of the file names. Right. But yeah, I see what you're, but by exporting it as a
video, yeah.
as a video, that would be great. Because also when you're playing the video, you can always hit pause, correct?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah. For example, this is an album I have of my basement, which sounds boring, but it's a before and after. And the sorting in this case is manual. The sorting in the manual, if I step back, the sorting in the album is manual so that I can see that full effect of the before and after. Obviously, sorting them by date wouldn't work. And if I wanted to do it by name, I would have to change every name of every file. That's a lot of work. By sorting manually, I can simply move that photo in the location that it needs to be and have that sorting follow Mylio, or have that orders follow my instructions. All right.
Very cool. Any other questions before we wrap up for today? All right. Well, thank you everyone for attending today. This has been really helpful and a lot of fun. I hope you guys got some good ideas on how to share something special with your loved one today or on any special day. And I want to thank JC for taking the time to come in and demo this for us. Always appreciated.
Very welcome.
I have one more quick question.
Sure.
Is this video available like on YouTube after it ends? Or all these?
Not immediately, but if you go to the community, so community.mylio.com, on the left-hand side, there is a topic for coffee breaks, and that's where we post all of our recordings. It usually takes 24 to 48 hours at least to get the recordings edited and posted up there, but it will be available.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. All right,
Right.
everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Thank you, team.
Bye,
Bye, everybody.
very much,
Happy
guys.
Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's
Yes.
Day.
As was yesterday.
Stay safe, Darren.
All the best. Thank you very much, JC. Bye now.
Bye-bye.